lot of homework had to be done beforehand, like you said, like you have to be really organized up front. And then because of that, we have to travel because it has to be face to face. You cannot do like remote either. So it has to be face to face. They have to sign all the legal and paper and everything. So we actually set up the testing schedule across the US.
Wow.
Surprisingly, you would think because we have a lot of patients in diabetic, we would be easy to kind of recruiting a lot of people to come in. It's apparently not. It's so hard for some reason to get people in, right? So we starting out with Seattle, like of course the easy one. Try to do like hey, the discovery study. Is this the feature that they want to have and things like that? And then next we would move to Arizona to kind of like testing some sort of the MVP, the visual, the information architect, right, mental model.
Yeah.
And then we have to fly to San Francisco, where I met you, right, to test out like the basic interaction design. Yeah. And then again move again to the like Louisiana if to kind of go do another testing.
So people who like to travel, they get a little bit of travel as part of this work.
Exactly. This is a lot of travel. Like
a lot of travel.
But
hey, you get miles, if you're young and you haven't ever left your town or something, this could be a good opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So like, hey, travel, this is a lot of fun, like, and then you bond with your researcher really, because the reason I have to be there, because we want to make this as fast as possible, right? The basic rule of 5, right? You go in, 5 people say wrong, then you want to be able to make changes right then before the next person come in, because every testing session is precious.
Yeah.
But we have to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fun one would be the doctor, because we want to go talk to the doctor as well, right? In the US, you cannot do that. Like you can,
as a designer just can't go talk to a doctor.
You cannot pay a doctor to be in your user set testing session in the US, because like the most we can do is pay them for lunch at most by law, right? So it's super hard to find like doctors who are willing to come to talk to us. Like we will kind of go to like maybe an hour or two to kind of talk to this together. What we ended up with is we were able to find doctors in UK.
They're willing
in
to
London
do it.
that we can do it by law, right? So we can find kind of pay them for those kind of stuff. So we actually have to flew to London to get that user test out.
Yeah. Well, so, hey, that's not a bad gig, right? Like you get to go to London. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
tell me about. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So after I left, like they actually went to the testing in Germany, and there was also like China and other places.
Got it. So. Nice. So when you're designing, and you're designing for also different cultures too, then does that affect your designs at all? And how does that factor? Do you have different designs for different cultures, different layouts? Yes. Even?
The thing is, we try to do that the most, but we cannot do it because in FDA, right? So when the regulation is supposed to do is you make a specific thing for this, and you do it for the submission. If you want to make changes, like if it impacts enough, you have to submit the thing again. And just for submitting this thing, it can cost up like in millions.
I see.
So you try to make it as flexible as possible, kind of plug and play as possible. So in some component, we try to like, okay, we make it differently for people in Germany.
I see.
Right? Can we do it for something like the universal healthcare, like in UK, would be different than the US, which is like different payer. So the view of like relationship between doctors and the patients are different. Like we can kind of try to see if we can find a really good common solution that we can reuse over and over, and only try to specify the certain things that we can like. Okay, we know this. We really need this thing to make it successful in different culture. So we can submit that to the authority to do that. And this is why you don't usually see like the healthcare application is stayed the same for so long and haven't updated.